Hello, and welcome to a Bomb Squad VidCast. Much like the VidCast we did last year on Within the Woods and Attack of the Helping Hand to promote the Evil Dead podcast, this week we're doing an episode of our show talking about Evil Dead 2, which Joe will be hosting. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about another Evil Dead adjacent movie to kind of build up to that. So this year we're talking about Shinichi Fukazawa's Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell, aka the Japanese Evil Dead. This movie has a bit of a storied history. It's kind of interesting. Basically, this guy saw the Evil Dead movies when they came out and loved them. He watched Army of Darkness when it came out in Japan, which in Japan has the best title of any movie ever. In Japan, it is called Captain Supermarket, which I absolutely love. But he watched that, and after that, he was like, I want to make a movie like the Evil Dead movies. So he decided to shoot his own. He wrote, directed, produced, and starred in his own version of the Evil Dead. He Tommy Wiseau'd his own Evil Dead movie.
I was gonna say he just like me for real, like Tanner would say, because that just sounds like the origin of Sex Demon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my god.
And so they shot it in 1995, and I think editing started in 2005. The edit was finished in 2009, but when he watched the finished cut, there were two sequences that he apparently wasn't happy with, so he reshot those and finished it in 2010. Then he self-distributed his own little DVD copies in 2012, and then it got like an official theatrical and DVD release in 2014, which makes this a more recent remake of Evil Dead than Fede Alvarez's movie, which came out in 2013.
God, that's history in a nutshell right there.
Pretty much.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I have no words.
In 2017, it got its first international release. It came out in the UK this year. It got released by a company called Visual Vengeance, who releases such classy art house films as The Necro Files. But yeah, so like I had heard about this when the UK Blu-ray was coming out, because I think it was like Bloody Disgusting shared something about it, and I was like, this looks just metal and ridiculous and stupid, and I want to watch it. Joe, had you heard of this movie before I suggested it?
I, no joke, only found out about this movie because you brought it up. That's the interesting thing about me, is I'm like, I like to try and be as well versed in like the movie ripoff scene, because movie ripoffs are absolutely incredible when done right. But as far as like Evil Dead ripoffs go, that's kind of where that's funnily enough where just like my knowledge is very limited, and this is one of those cases where I know absolutely nothing about it. I no joke found out about it through you, Tim.
Fair enough. So now that you've watched the film, what are your thoughts?
I am glad that this exists. Put that on the Blu-ray. I'm glad that this exists. I'm glad that this is finally out into the world for people to see. After that insane history that we just went through, like, yeah, I'm especially glad that it's out for people to see. With that said, it's okay. It's definitely rough in places, and it's one of those like rip-off movies where it's like you watch it and you kind of like begin to understand why certain aspects of like the original work compared to the rip-off, because something that we'll definitely talk about in Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 is paced brilliantly. So is Evil Dead 1, so is Army of Darkness. This, on the other hand, it has a strong start, and then it kind of just hits the brakes for a while. It doesn't pick up for like a good chunk of the movie, and then when it picks up, it really fucking picks up. If I had anything that it does better than the Evil Dead, I will say this. The Evil Dead did not have mismatching, like, dismembered figures attaching themselves to each other. I was genuinely not expecting a hand to attach itself to a head, or a hand to attach itself to a foot. There's some creative, like, gore in this for
Hmm.
such a low-budget movie that, you know what? I got to applaud them for at least making an effort to try and do it. Because, yeah, I mean, it definitely looks cheap, but it's fun. It's
Yeah.
creative in that regard. And it's something Sam Raimi dared not to do, but you know what? That's okay. His films still exist, and they're still awesome in their own right. And then this has its little moments.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely think that that's one of the things I really admire about it. Like, I watched it for the first time last year, but I had to watch it raw, so I couldn't understand any of the dialogue except for like the one time he says groovy. Groovy. Yeah, like the creative gore, I definitely agree, is one of the stronger aspects of it. Like, you have the one shot of the main character stabbing through the back of the guy's skull to pop his eye out, like Friday the 13th Part 3 style. I really enjoyed that. I really like the weird dismembered appendage thing that you were talking about, where it almost kind of feels like a very, very cheap ripoff of The Thing. Uh, yeah, like it's just having fun with it, and I really admire that. What is funny about it is, like, if you look at Fukazawa, he kind of does look like a Japanese version of Bruce Campbell from that time.
He really does, yeah. Though I gotta say, Bruce Campbell, I love the man. I don't even think he could pull off flexing as hard as that man does in this movie. 'Cause
Oh yeah, for
that
sure.
man flexes his shirt off like, God, I
Yeah,
don't even think The Rock could pull that off.
yeah, he was doing some Hulk shit, and I absolutely love that. The whole thing is just like, this man is so fucking jacked that he can just beat the shit out of zombies and they die. Like, his final weapon, like, he ditches the chainsaw and goes for just fucking barbells. Uh, like, just fucking shoots a barbell into a zombie. Crushes their face with it. Like, it knows exactly what it is, and it has fun with it. Like, it's just the perfect, like, right amount of self-aware, to where it's just kind of a fun thing to watch for an hour. And that's
Oh yeah.
another thing that's good about it, is that it's nice and short. Um,
Oh yeah.
and like, earlier this year, fairly recently, I got to talk about House and Perfect Blue, which are two very well made, very highly regarded, very just well crafted Japanese horror movies. And sometimes it's fun to talk about stuff that's on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is what we have here. Honestly, I think that's just gonna do it. Joe, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I really don't have much else to add to this. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. It has its flaws, but it's a decent time if you're really into the Evil Dead and if you're into movie ripoffs. I would definitely recommend checking it out. And like I said, I am glad that this thing exists. It should be out there for everyone to see. If you can find a solid copy of it, watch it. I know it's on Tubi for free, so you can watch it with ads. So go check it out.
Yeah, I just learned that it was on Tubi. Like, I didn't even realize they put it on there. But yeah, I mean, final thoughts. Yeah, like basically what Joe just said. It's a fun little, like, Evil Dead ripoff thing. Um, I would definitely say, like, just check it out if you have like an hour to kill and you just want to watch something kind of cheesy. Um, like, it's definitely one of those things. But much like what I love about the first Evil Dead is how, um, the seeing the strings is sort of what makes it, endearing. But yeah, that'll do it for this vidcast. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment below and let us know. Have you seen Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell? What do you think about it? What do you think about Evil Dead ripoffs? What do you think about Japanese horror schlock? Let us know. Um, And while you're down there, go ahead and hit the like button if you like the video, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and hit the bell icon so you can get some notifications when we upload stuff. And join us this Friday for our Bomb Squad movie night episode on Evil Dead 2. And we will see you then. Farewell.
Bye.
Sayonara, baby.
Just slid my ticket across the table and I said, sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl.